All right, so today I'm going to talk about plantar fasciitis. I know that a lot of you guys have struggled with this injury. You guys have asked me questions about this injury. I've struggled with it for 7 years, and I finally am over it. I'm, I think, 2 years off of this injury, and I wanted to share my tips and strategies with you guys to help beat plantar fasciitis. So the first most important thing, I think, in keeping your feet happy is the type of footwear that you're wearing. Obviously, we know it's important to pick out the right shoe when you're going out for a run, but what are you wearing 90% of the day? So that's also important. If you're walking around in high heels and flats, those might not be the best thing for you, even if you are in the most perfect shoe when you're running. So think about that. Also, take the time to go to a running store with professionals that know how to analyze how you walk, how you run, and get you fitted in the proper shoe. So that's number one. All right, the second most important thing is stretching. So I have 2 stretches that I think are super important for you guys. It's also super important that you hold them for a long period of time. So I'm talking at least a minute, preferably 90 seconds. First one is a slant board stretch. So we're targeting our calves here. This is the best way to stretch out our calves. Most of us walk around with chronically tight calves and we have no idea. So getting on the slant board gives us a great angle and really does a good job at stretching out the calf. It's not the same as stretching on a curb, not the same as using one of those wheels. Slant board, at least a minute on each foot. And the second stretch is a plantar stretch. So this one's super easy. You can do it at home while you're watching TV. You don't even have to think. Is to just bend your toes back and lean back on your toes and just hold in this position. I remember a time that there was no way I could do this stretch because it was so tight. But this is a great stretch. Just spend a couple minutes here. That gets the plantar stretch out really nice. Number 3 is to strength train. So obviously I'm a big proponent of strength training, but this was one thing. Once I started strength training consistently, I started noticing my plantar fasciitis go away. So the reason being, I think, is because my glutes got stronger, my hamstrings, that whole posterior chain. If they're stronger and they're doing the work, your overuse injury, plantar fasciitis, is not doing more work than it should. So doing things to strengthen that posterior chain, like deadlifts, squats, glute bridges, hamstring curls, toe raises, all that stuff is really good. So strength training, loading up the muscles, super important. All right, so the fourth thing is doing a little self-therapy on yourself. So I'm gonna show you guys how to massage the feet and massage the calves a little bit. I know a lot of you, told me you roll on golf balls or you use a foam roller. All those things are great, but the nice thing about using our hands is they're 3-dimensional. So our tissue is also 3-dimensional. So you're gonna get at it at a better angle. You're gonna be able to get around the tissue. So knowing some trigger points is great for working on the foot. So I'm gonna take my sock off here and just go through some important parts if I'm massaging my feet where I start. So when I typically start, I'll work from the base of the heel. This is where your plantar fascia inserts, and I'm just gonna rub up along that arch. This is where the plantar fascia connects and goes all the way up here. So you have the inside, you also might have some adhesions on the outside here. Yep, I can feel some crunchiness. So just try to smooth that out. So that's typically where I start, is I just work along the arch there. Then I'll get to the pad of the foot. What you want to do here is just create a little space between these toe joints. So just kind of give them a little wiggle, make some space as much as you can. Then we get to the toes, go ahead and give those toes a nice pull, see if you can get any cracks. So you just want to make a lot of space, that's what you're looking for. You want a nice wide toe box there. Then you're going to go along your heel and just kind of work the tissue around the heel. And press down pretty hard. And give it a good rub right on the base of the heel. You can, anywhere you feel a little bit of crunchiness, I call it, those are all adhesions. Just want to smooth out the fascia, and that helps get blood flow to the foot. You can finish up by going on the top a little bit, This always feels good too. Any blood flow to the feet in general is good. Working our way up to the calf, the perineal is an area so many runners are tight and they have no idea until someone actually touches them there. So this is a spot I always check in on, and one good way to loosen up this area is to press down and give a few ankle circles. So why does this matter for the foot? If you release this area and up in your calf, you're going to get more blood flow to the foot, so your foot's going to heal quicker. So it's really important to work around the ankle joint, get some, there's a crack, great, get some more mobility and movement in that area. Again, that's going to free up the foot and just give the foot a little bit more function. So also same idea, just working your way up the calf, try to feel any knots, and again, give some couple ankle circles and squeeze that leg all the way up. You can do the same thing on a foam roller, lie on it and just do some ankle circles. All right, so the final thing I'm going to talk about is just a couple extra tricks, things that I found that also really help just my day-to-day dealings with plantar fasciitis. So starting with acute, and acute means you go for a run, it's inflamed, it's not feeling too good. That's an acute problem with plantar fasciitis. I would get an ice cup, so freeze a little Dixie cup, freeze water in a little Dixie cup, and then you can tear the top off and just rub your foot almost like you're giving it a massage, and that'll also reduce the inflammation. So that's a really good tool.
Go.
So this little thing here is called correct toes. Basically what this does is separates your toes almost like a nail file. But again, you're just creating space between those toe joints and spreading those toes out. So you can wear this, you can actually wear this in your shoes if your toe box is big enough, or you can just wear them at night. But that's going to do is get your foot in correct anatomical position, and you always want this big toe joint free. Most of our shoes have a tendency to squish our feet like this, and that's pretty terrible. Our feet want to breathe and live, so these guys are really handy. I think they're about 60, 70 bucks online, so they're not cheap, but they are lifesavers. If you guys feel like your feet are scrunched like that, it might be a good investment. The second thing I would advise you getting if you're having a lot of chronic pain, especially in the morning, is a Strasbourg sock. So this basically will it's a sock you put on over your foot at night, and it's going to put bring your toe up and keep your foot in that flexed position, which is going to result in a lot less pain and stiffness in the morning when you wake up. So Strasbourg sock, awesome tool if you're having a lot of early morning pain.